We have made clear that we stand with our Philippine allies and have reaffirmed that an armed attack on the Philippines' public vessels, aircraft, and armed forces, including those of its Coast Guard in the South China Sea, would invoke the U.S. mutual defense commitments under Article 4 of the 1951 U.S.-Philippines Mutual Defense Treaty.
Magandang araw mga ka-aerial defense, may ibabahagi na naman ako sa inyo dahil ngayong araw na ito ay may bagay tayong pag-uusapan. Amerika tutulong sa Pilipinas kapag inatake tayo ng China. Pero bago tayo magpatuloy, wag mo muna kalimutan mag-like, share, and subscribe. Paki-follow at like muna ng aming page na nasa description na ang link. Tinitignan ng United States ang mga paraan para makatulong na palakasin ang maritime security capabilities ng Southeast Asian states, kabilang ang Pilipinas, sa South China Sea. Sinabi ng US Department of Defense noong Biyernes, ginawa ni Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense Lindsey Ford ang pahayag sa isang pagdinig sa Kongreso ng US, habang binibigyang pansin niya ang mas malawak na pagsisikap ng China na palawakin ang bakas ng militar nito sa South China Sea.
Water cannons and military-grade lasers to block and target Philippine resupply boats headed toward Second Thomas Shoal. Despite these attempts to assert further control of the South China Sea, there is another better vision, one that is shared by both the United States and the region. And over the past year, we've seen an unprecedented number of states enhance efforts to support rule of law in the South China Sea. Earlier this week, the Philippine Coast Guard took a bold step in defending their own sovereignty by removing a floating barrier installed by the PRC Coast Guard near Scarborough Shoal. And in the face of PRC threats and intimidation, we've seen Indonesia, Malaysia, and Vietnam continue to expand their offshore energy exploration efforts and challenge PRC encroachment. We've seen partners across Southeast Asia and beyond the region come together to condemn PRC behavior in the South China Sea, including in August, Australia, Japan, Canada, the United Kingdom, and the EU all protested the aggressive PRC maneuvers that we saw against the Philippines at Second Thomas Shoal.
Sinabi ni Ford mula noong 2016, ang DOD ay naglaan ng higit sa $475 million sa mga kakayahan upang payagan ang mga kasosyo nito sa Timog Silangang Asya na to sense, share at mag-ambag sa panrehiyong maritime security sa rehiyon. Sinabi niya na sinusuri ng DOD ang posibilidad ng pagbibigay sa mga kaalyado nito ng mga unmanned surface at subsurface system para sa situational awareness, mesh network para sa at-sea communications, undersea sensing, at expeditionary logistics capabilities, tulad ng 3D printing at modular at sea resupply. Ang paghahatid ng mga sistemang ito, aniya, ay pupunan din ng pagsasanay, taktika, diskarte, at pamamaraan para sa mga opsyon. Mula noong 2018, sinabi niya, ang China ay patuloy na nilagyan ng mga outpost ang Spratly Island, kabilang ang Mischief Reef, Subi Reef, at Fiery Cross, na may dumiraming hanay ng mga kakayahan sa militar. Sinabi ni Ford na ginagamit ng China ang mga outpost na ito upang suportahan ang mga sasakyang pandagat ng People's Armed Forces Maritime Militia, People's Liberation Army Navy deployments, at mga operasyon ng China Coast Guard sa West Philippine Sea.
Again, welcome to the Indo-Pacific Subcommittee hearing entitled Lasers and Water Cannons, Exposing the CCP's Harassment in the South China Sea. The Philippines, Brunei, Malaysia, Indonesia, Vietnam, China, and Taiwan all have territorial claims. The Chinese Communist Party has long maintained illegal claims in the South China Sea, spreading propaganda about its notorious 9-dash line, which is now 10 dashes because they added a dash around Taiwan. Across the South China Sea, China has illegally dredged nearly 3,200 acres of new land, some of which serve as military outposts that have runways for military aircraft and isolated research platforms that can port military-grade vessels. These artificial islands allow the CCP's Coast Guard to maintain a permanent presence in the exclusive economic zones of our allies and partners. Further, illegal and unregulated fishing activities destroying the environment and depleting fishing stocks. Just a week before our trip, the CCP's Coast Guard used lasers to temporarily blind Philippine sailors and water cannons to stop Philippine Coast Guard ships from resupplying the Sierra Madre, a Philippine ship permanently stationed in the South China Sea to protect the Philippines' claims to the Spratly Islands. My delegation also flew on a mission with the U.S. Navy over the South China Sea, and we saw is congestion. Instead of open water, we saw civilian fishing fleets from South Asian countries, patrols from the Philippine Coast Guard, and vessels from the People's Liberation Army Navy and CCP Coast Guard. By far the largest and the most common vessels in the seas, all vying for the same water between rifts and islets. When flying near the Sierra Madre post, the CCP Navy radioed into our aircraft asking who we were and demanding that our plane turn around, claiming that we were flying over the Chinese territorial waters. This was clearly a bullying tactic, intimidation tactic. Our partners in the region need our help, and our allies are questioning if the U.S. will be there to help if the CCP escalates aggression in the South China Sea.
The world witnessed the PRC's dangerous and provocative conduct on August 5th when the China Coast Guard used water cannons and, along with PRC maritime militia vessels, employed unsafe blocking maneuvers against Philippine vessels. We saw similar behavior during later resupply missions on August 22nd and September 8th, and again most recently when the PRC reportedly installed a barrier to prevent Philippines fishing vessels from entering Scarborough Reef. We have made clear that we stand with our Philippine allies and have reaffirmed that an armed attack on the Philippines' public vessels, aircraft, and armed forces, including those of its Coast Guard in the South China Sea, would invoke the U.S. mutual defense commitments under Article 4 of the 1951 U.S.-Philippines Mutual Defense Treaty.
We have willing partners and allies ready to hold firm against the CCP's aggression, but they need reassurances about the U.S.'s commitment to peace and security in the region.
Sinabi ni Representative Siang Kim ng 40th Congressional District ng California, Chair ng House Subcommittee on Indo-Pacific, na nasaksihan niya ang sitwasyon sa pinagtatalo ng tubig at sumasang-ayon na dapat suportahan ng US ang maliliit na littoral states sa rehiyon. Noong nakaraang buwan, pinangunahan ni Kim ang isang bipartisan congressional delegation sa Pilipinas at lumipad sa isang misyon kasama ang US Navy sa South China Sea. Idinagdag niya na noong lumipad sila malapit sa BRP Sierra Madre sa Ayungin, pinaradyo ng Chinese Navy ang kanilang sasakyang panghimpapawid at hiniling na umikot ang kanilang eroplano habang sinasabing sila ay lumilipad sa ibabaw ng teritorial na tubig ng China. Sinabi ni Kim na dapat ding palakasin ng US ang ugnayang pang-ekonomiya nito sa mga estado sa Timog Silangang Asya. Para sa mas madaming update tungkol sa ating defense, abangan lamang ang aking mga bagong video. Para naman sa mga gusto magpa-shoutout, mag-comment lamang po at share, paki-follow at like muna ng aming page na nasa description na ang link. Pwede ka ring manalo ng pera or load dito kapag ikaw ay naging top fan nito at napili. Huwag mo na rin kalimutan mag-like, share, and subscribe. Pindutin mo na rin ang bell para updated kayo sa aking mga video. Maraming salamat po.